podcast, NBA free agency, 2 months to football. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is none other than yourself, yours truly, the mayor of Oakland, the cool connoisseur of that guy who runs the sports group. I'm Pat. I'm here joined by my friend, my right-hand man, Roy, a.k.a. the Bearded Bulldog. And this is our NBA free agency aftermath Sports Wars podcast.
By popular demand.
By popular request. Maybe not quite desperate request, but we're working our way up to that point. How you feeling tonight, bro?
I'm good, man. I love this time of year. As always, the NBA proved that their offseason is king once again. The NFL is trying to compete with it with their moves, but NBA once again does it again. Little fun stat I saw brought out. Was it 12 players yesterday got $100 million contracts?
It really is a high watermark, man. You know,
Juju Smith-Schuster, it was on Twitter publicly saying, "I'm fixing to call my mama after this to find out why she didn't put me in basketball." So, yeah, Victor
man,
Cruz is on. He's on ESPN complaining. He's like, "We need guaranteed contracts." Like, bro, you retired 4 years ago. Your guaranteed contracts are done.
Yeah, so, yeah. The ship has sailed in a lot of instances, man. I mean, it's an interesting dynamic, man. Obviously, you know, football in some capacity, whether it's professional or college, like we all know it's always going to be number one. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a huge lane for basketball to occupy. Obviously, basketball has shown itself to be massively culturally relevant, particularly with youth culture. And it's not just in the big cities, too. Like, people love hoops all throughout the middle of America and the heartland. I mean, the Oklahoma City Thunder, shout out to our boy Caleb, are a massively successful franchise. Like, if you would have told people 20 years ago, there's going to be a team literally in the middle of Oklahoma, they look at you like you were crazy. But yeah, man, you know, just the frenzy, the fanfare, how it dominates the entire sports landscape for like a solid 2 weeks every single summer. I mean, hell, before we even got to this point, when the news of the Lakers aggressively pursuing Anthony Davis during Super Bowl week, we were talking about that as much, if not more, than the matchup, which turned out to be whack, lame, dull. So, you know, the NBA has its lane, bro. When folk get to blabbering about how, oh, well, you know, blah, blah, blah. Listen, if you don't like it, that's cool, but don't try to parlay your distaste for it into nobody likes that stuff, because clearly that's not the case.
The numbers say different.
Yes.
It's the second fastest growing. I mean, like, actually, it's funny because I actually brought these numbers up in an argument I was having earlier with somebody about the evaluations of sports leagues, sports teams. The NFL, the from last year, the value of a franchise has gone up 14%. If you ask a lot of people, that you would think baseball would be not too far behind. Basketball's next at 13%.
Wow.
So, and baseball itself has gone up as well, but it's only at 11%, which for the longest running league of the four major sports, America's pastime, the NBA has taken a life of its own. And as much people, it's funny to me because I'm reminded of people that bitched and complained, "Oh, we don't want to see Cavs Warriors or LeBron versus the Warriors again."
Right.
Ratings were down these finals, despite an amazing series.
Yeah.
People want heroes. People want villains. Now everybody's loving Kawhi. It's awesome. But the NBA it's center stage right now, man.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And we're going to go ahead and dive right into all the major acquisitions, transactions, things that took place. Obviously, we can't cover every single move that has happened because we'd be here for literally 5 hours. But we're going to keep you guys informed on all the major happenings. Now, obviously, first and foremost, we have to discuss Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving joining forces ending months upon months of speculation by going to New York. Except they went to New York in the form of the Brooklyn Nets over the New York Knicks. I got to pour out a little bit for our boy Zach Rohn, long-suffering New York Knicks faithful. Although, they drafted R.J. Barrett. They picked up Julius Randle. There's a future in Madison Square Garden.
I'm not mad at the pieces they got. They got a bunch of grinders like Taj Gibson. They got a young guy. I mean, Julius Randle, like he's what, on his third or fourth team? He's still like, he can't be 25. He's 24. He won't be 25 until next season starts.
Right.
So he's a young piece to pair with RJ Barrett. They got, was it Peyton Elfrid? I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name. They signed him today. He just turned 25. So I mean, they got three very young pieces, and I'm not. They didn't overspend on them. Now that Tony Portis of socking a bitch in the jaw fame, breaking his teammate's face. That one, he's not very old. He's Tony Portis, Bobby Portis. That's his name. He's also very young. I mean, they didn't. I mean, 24. Shit. I mean, they're young as fuck. So
not even in for a basketball player in your physical prime yet.
Yeah, I mean, he's a power forward. Randle's a power forward. Taj Gibson's a power forward. So they loaded up there. But RJ Barrett is a 2/3. Peyton's a point guard. So, I mean, I don't hate what the Knicks did. I'm glad that they didn't go full-on panic mode and be like, fuck, let's sign Jimmy Butler for as much money as we can.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it's going to be Kyrie and DeAndre Jordan next season. And then the year after that is when that full nucleus of Durant, Kyrie, and Jordan, come together. The Nets are, they are a team that has some history, but it's not quite as prolific as a lot of other, powerhouses in the East. And obviously the Knicks are who they are. Like, they're that pinnacle franchise, New York City. But
I say Sports Wars, we start a GoFundMe page and we all chip in and we buy the fucking Knicks, man. Get them off of Dolan. We buy the Knicks. I mean,
what kind of an indictment is it of this person that the allure of New York City, and New York City always is and forever will be a big deal, and the franchise history of the Knicks can't overcome this one goofball?
And the crazy shit is Zach will tell you, he's not involved in the basketball side. So it's just him being just attached to the franchise is enough for people to be like, no, I'm okay. Everybody remembers Charles Oakley being let out of the fucking Garden. We remember the Knicks fan who basically just screamed out to Dolan, sell the team, and is banned from the Garden. Dolan is a fucking joke. I'm all for it. Let's start a GoFundMe page. Just call them the New York Sports Wars Knicks. Let's do that, and we can make better decisions than Dolan has in the entire time he's owned this fucking team, man. It's like I said, you can tell Dolan was hands off this time because, like I said, they didn't go after anything stupid, and Dolan would have blown his load on the first shiny, expensive thing available.
To me, it's a situation that even if the rumors and the speculation weren't necessarily true, because the rumors that I heard for the longest time was that Dolan himself was basically going to arrange to meet with Irving and Durant directly and basically just offer them a blank check. Like, look, you guys, we're going to give you both a max. It can be literally the most ridiculous number in league history. You know, if you want it, here we are.
I mean,
but apparently all that got derailed because of Durant's injury. So instead of making the long-term ploy, like, okay, well, when this guy does get back, he's like literally the most lethal scorer in the league. But apparently honestly, it just fell through.
To me, that kind of what the press release from Dolan kind of struck me as just trying to save face. Like, because how dumb does it sound? Oh, we weren't comfortable. We didn't offer him the max. Like, what? Nobody in that writes for the NBA or critiques the NBA would have been like, say in 2 years, Garnett comes back and he's not the same. Nobody would have been clowning the Knicks like, oh, you guys fucked up and spent money on a guy with a bum leg. No one would. They would have been like, look, dude, you did your homework. You did what you had to do. I maintain that the Knicks never really had a chance at Durant. And to me, the writing was on the wall. Writing was on the wall a month ago. The guy who did Durant's Achilles surgery is the team doctor for the Nets. So, guys, it's crazy that nowadays it seems like what's more important to the players is not the head coach, it's not the city, it's the health staff. From what I understand, one of the I don't want to say sticking points, but one of the negotiating points for Kawhi and the Lakers, he wants his own trainers. He basically wants the same kind of freedom that LeBron's been given, which I get it. I understand. That was one of the reasons why he wanted out of San Antonio. It was one of the reasons he enjoyed his time in Toronto. That's why he only played like 60 games this year, because Toronto was like, oh, yeah, sure, take your time off.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to keep him long term, which Lou Williams brought up a great point. He was being interviewed about playing in Toronto. He said, it's lovely. It's great. The fans are great. The ownership is great. But after about a month or two, you're like, fuck, man, I just want to go back home. Canada's it's a different kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you're not a guy that grew up in Canada, it's kind of it's you're out of place. And I mean, Kawhi, I can't speak on it because I don't know if any of our listeners can tell from my accent, I'm in Georgia. I can't speak on the difference between Toronto and Southern California. Pat may be able to give you a little more insight, especially in the Southern California side of it. But I've never been to either one, and I can only imagine it's night and fucking day, particularly in December and January when the majority of these games are going on.
Yeah, no, I mean, you definitely bring up a good point in terms of not just pertaining to these moves, but really all the non-trade based acquisitions. Money, these guys got all the money in the world. You know, money isn't really the main factor anymore, because there's obviously their league salary, there's the shoe and gear endorsements, there's the sports drink endorsements. There's just a ton of different avenues for them to get money and for their kids and grandkids and great-grandkids not to be worried. And that's on top of the fact that the average player is a lot more savvy and intelligent about how to manage his finances than, say, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But, I don't think location is really a huge factor for most guys. I mean, obviously Kyrie is a kid from New Jersey, so he grew up liking the Nets. His dad was a season ticket holder, and he's an East Coast guy. So in that regard, it makes sense. But guys like Durant and a handful of others, I mean, it can be wherever. They have their individual motivations, and whatever situation complements that the most is what is going to happen. I will go ahead and address somewhat of an elephant in the room with regard to KD feeling like he was socially out of place, with us for a number of years or for however long. Now, the strong narrative is that it was always Steph's team, and to a degree, I do agree with that. Just because Steph has always been the emotional leader. Whenever this, that, and the third has been going on, he is like the calming agent. And in terms of out here locally, all of my almost LaRock level sources of everything that happens with regard to the Warriors that isn't necessarily public, the main rumor out here was that after Draymond and Durant hashed it out, squashed their little issue, Steph, Klay, and Steve Kerr approached KD in private and were like, look, whatever you do, it's totally up to you. We won't be personal. We won't be mad, but go ahead and let us know so that we're not being strung along and having a carrot dangled in front of us like our homie from Cleveland. And according to the rumors, obviously I can't verify it for sure, but I have reason to believe that KD let them know what was happened back then. Obviously, we fast forward from then to now. Steph flew from Shanghai to New York City direct, like a 13, 14-hour flight, to go to thank KD in person for his 3 years of playing with us. So hearing that, to me, validates the rumor of that whole story that they've actually known for months, because one of the main emphasis of that whole meeting between them is that, look, again, we're not going to be pissed off. We're not going to be mad. There's no kind of personal issues. We just want to have transparency and clarification moving forward. So, KD is an interesting dude. He's a little bit of a different personality type. Not quite as different as Kyrie, but, nonetheless.
I'm very, very interested in seeing how that's going to work. Because Kyrie had the reputation in Cleveland and to some degree in Boston of playing hero ball, which is what KD left behind in Oklahoma City. So Kyrie's not Russ. He'll dish the ball. He's worked with superstar talent before. Another interesting wrinkle to all of it is Kyrie's going to be the man on this team for a year before Durant ever suits up. I wonder if that dynamic changes. Whereas Kyrie was kind of they didn't add anybody to the team to appease Kyrie. Whereas DeAndre Jordan, I actually had this conversation with a couple of friends at work today. DeAndre Jordan wasn't added because, don't get me wrong, he's not terrible. But DeAndre Jordan was not added for his talent. DeAndre Jordan was added because he's friends with Kevin Durant. We've seen this before. A couple of guys went from Miami to Cleveland with LeBron because they were close. Mike Miller, James Jones. Right. Cleveland was trying to make LeBron happy, and they did. They won a ring together. I think Mike Miller got traded before that. But they worked together. They brought a couple of friends along. They signed. You can't tell me Cleveland signed D Wade for basketball reasons. Come on.
No, so that was
strictly.
And I don't think anyone was surprised when it didn't really pan out relatively quickly.
Yeah. So, I mean, because by then, D-Wade, his knees started failing him. He wasn't Miami D-Wade. Hell, he wasn't Miami D-Wade by year 2 of D-Wade, of the big three. So, yeah. So, I mean, them signing DeAndre Jordan, the Nets signing DeAndre Jordan was less, he's talented, and more, let's make KD happy.
Yeah,
I don't blame him. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Right. There's really nothing wrong with creating a hospitable environment for, the new primary asset. I mean, to your point, some of those guys in Miami went right up to Northeast Ohio. I mean, hell, I feel like they were almost close to getting Norris Cole too at one point.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, keeping things in the East. This to me is one of the more interesting things that took place yesterday. Al Horford to the 76ers and Jimmy Butler from the 76ers to, speaking of D-Wade, the Miami Heat. Al Horford in that Philly lineup, they might be the biggest team in the league. Like their lineup is gigantic.
Easily. I mean, not taking shots here, but if you put that lineup, that the average height of that lineup next to the average height of the Golden State lineup is like they beat them by like a foot. So about at least 6 inches, man. I mean, Curry's not tiny, but Curry's what, 6? How tall is Curry? 6.
He's 6'3".
Okay, and
that's with shoes on.
Yeah, and so I mean,
this is Earl Thomas lining up against Gronk.
Well, like the short guy in the 76ers lineup is who? The newly acquired, was it Josh Richardson from Miami? And he's the shooting guard.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Ben Simmons is the point guard. He's like 6'11". Then you got Tobias Harris, who went from the 4 to now he's the 3. And then Horford will probably be the 4, and then Embiid is the 5. I do think they overpaid him. He got the deal he wanted. I think Horford signed with the 76ers because he wants to stick it to Boston. I don't know what happened in that locker room. But Irving and Horford both left. And Horford's not that kind of guy. Okay. When he left Atlanta, there was no ill feelings. He knew what our direction was, that we were going young. We were rebuilding. There was no ill feelings there. And then
not at all.
He leaves Boston, and like immediately they're like, "Oh, he's just going to resign. He's opting out. So a little restructure." Knowing Horford, nothing's ever going to come out. He's never going to badmouth Ainge or Boston. But I really like this move for no other reason than Horford is a playoff veteran, leader, plays defense, does shit the right way. You don't hear any extra noise out of him. He is going to go up there and he's going to show Embiid how to be an NBA big man and work his ass off. If he can get Embiid to drink some milk to stay fucking healthy, then
oh my gosh, man,
Embiid can be a beast. He's gonna probably help Simmons with his jump shot. I like this move. I think it's got to make. I mean, Philly was already a favorite. It's got to move them to the top, kind of pending what Kawhi does, right?
I mean, the thing is, for as much criticism as was levied at Philadelphia, obviously some of it was justified. Embiid with the really unorthodox health issues, like he didn't have a bum knee or an ankle or anything. Like he was having like stomach shit.
Yeah,
like
I got laryngitis. I ate some bad burritos. Like
what's going on? Like you eating like frozen lasagnas that are expired or some kind of shit like that. Yeah. So yeah, but all that aside, Philly was the only team to give Toronto legitimate pushback. Like Toronto ran through everybody else except the 76ers, and even then they won on a buzzer beater. So let's just take the scenario that Kawhi returns to LA. We're going to get into the speculation of that a little bit later, but let's just assume, okay, Kawhi leaves Toronto, he's in Southern California. The shifting and the balance of power, I think, just on talent alone, has to go to Philly.
I mean, Milwaukee lost Bogdan. So they gained a couple. I think Milwaukee has done a good job of kind of. I don't know that they've gotten better, but I don't think they've gotten worse either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they retained Middleton, they retained George Hill, so their nucleus is going to remain the same.
And then they kept Brook Lopez and then added his brother, so they got depth there.
Right.
So it's crazy to me that the Eastern Finals next year could be Milwaukee and Philadelphia, because we don't know. Boston added Kemba,
correct,
but they lost Rozier. They did like a double sign and trade, and then added Cantor and his bum shoulder.
Yeah.
So I think Boston's going to take a step back. Brooklyn. I like Brooklyn. I think right now the undisputed number one seed, like I said, it's got to be Philly.
It would be.
Where are they going to find a shooter though?
It would be real interesting to see whether or not they somehow don't. I mean, outside of Milwaukee, Boston, they did pick up Kemba, and I do think that Kemba is going to work better within what Brad Stevens does and just how he draws things up. I think he's going to buy into Stevens' concepts without any type of questioning, pushback, because he's just he's a different personality type than Kyrie.
Plus, I think there's a big difference in Kyrie, who, hey, bitch, I've won championships, I know what I'm doing, to Kemba, hey, I ain't never been to playoffs, can you help me out? So I think Kemba's going to be more willing to listen to what Stevens has got to say, whereas Kyrie is just like, hey, bitch, I've been here before. You ain't got to tell me shit. I like – don't get me wrong, I think Boston is probably going to be more fun to watch this year, just because.
Oh yeah.
Did it seem to you like it felt like for most of the year Boston was kind of walking on eggshells for Kyrie? Like they were afraid, like if they did anything, Kyrie was going to walk.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
It was no. You're absolutely right. For me, my observations, kind of chopping it up with people in that region who follow the team closer than I do, it was a combination of ongoing tension between Kyrie and the media, which obviously includes the Boston media, over speculation, which is like, dude, you're a superstar. There's going to be fucking speculation. A combination of that coupled with the fact that, you got Brown and Smith and Rozier, who got to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals without this dude last year. So here he is now, after the All-Star break, the team is going through this roller coaster of wins and losses. And like you say, the speculation was that dude basically had like an attitude the whole time. And we're like, bro, like we got further without you.
He was on the team of young guys who were looking for any kind of commitment. Like he no shit. He's being asked repeatedly, where are you staying? You sticking around? What's the plan for next year?
Yeah, like what's the deal?
And instead of kind of putting it to bed, and by putting it to bed, I don't mean him outright saying, oh, I want to be here. Him saying, look, I'm focused on now. I want to win with this team. He just kept like, stop asking me about it. He was kind of a bitch about it.
Yeah.
And that kind of left the whole team kind of like, it's probably, to me, it's probably how they felt was probably a lot like how the young guys in Los Angeles felt when LeBron wasn't putting that AD trade shit in the bed. Like they're so up in the air about it. Like, man, I don't know what the fuck we're going to do. Like Kyrie's he's not saying he's going to be here. We don't know what we are long term. They're worrying about next season. They're not worried about the fucking Wizards tonight when they got to play them. And they dropped games that they shouldn't have dropped. And I think this is going to be one of those addition by subtraction things. I don't think Kemba is the better point guard. I think Kemba is going to work better with a lot of those younger guys because he just, hey, I'm here. There's no speculation that I'm not going to be here next year. He signed like a 4 or 5 year max deal.
Yeah.
Rozier was the other guy that was kind of like, I don't think I want to be here. Well, guess what, motherfucker? Now you're in Charlotte. So yeah, double sign and trade, man. It's wild. I love NBA. The sign and trade is like those are like my 3 favorite words in the offseason. I love hearing that shit.
And see, we all know who the figurehead in Charlotte is. Like he'll mess around and smack Terry upside his head when he gets attitude.
Like scary Terry's gonna be scary.
Yeah, Scary Terry's gonna go get Mike's coffee from fucking McDonald's. But yeah, man, the parallel I make between going from a Kyrie to a Kemba, obviously not quite on the same level because the team I'm about to mention is 1 year removed from a championship, but the transition from a Carson Wentz to a Nick Foles in that 2017 season. Obviously, everybody knows that Wentz is the more talented guy, you know, bigger, stronger, faster, all that good stuff. But Foles worked, and for a time again in these playoffs until they ran into New Orleans, worked better within the system because Foles was more coachable. Foles was more willing to just go along with the scheme that Peterson and his guys drew up, whereas Carson Wentz, according to reports, a lot of the time wanted to do his thing or would make a little bit of a stink if a play was called that he didn't think was right. So juxtapose that to a situation where, like you say, Kyrie has been to the mountaintop, been a perennial all-star, you know, all the typical accolades. Hell, he's making a fucking Uncle Drew movie. And you have this young, innovative coach who came from out of the college system. There's going to be some back and forth balancing ego there. Whereas Kemba, like you say, like, dude, I came from Charlotte. I haven't been in the playoffs yet. Like, I want to, you know, compete at a higher level. Like, what? How can we work together?
Kimba's winning completely different situation. Happened at UConn. I mean,
yeah. Oh God, Jordan is. Oof, he's whiffed on a lot of shit, man. He's whiffed on some shit, and all those yes men, you know, they're terrified to say anything. Shook.
Somebody got to sit him down, man. Like, look, I know you got 6 rings on the court, but you don't know what the fuck you're doing up here.
Yeah, sorry. Nothing but love for you. But yeah, that obviously that's going to round out our major reaction for the East. Now, taking things out here to my neck of the woods. Well, first and foremost, the other elephant in the room. As of right now, D'Angelo Russell is a member of the Golden State Warriors. As a result of the subsequent sign and trade from Kevin Durant transitioning to the Nets, we now have Russell. Now, we also picked up Napier and the other player whose name is escaping. Yeah.
Graham.
But as of about half an hour ago, those assets are going elsewhere because we were able to retain Looney. We signed him to 3 years, $15 million. But yeah, as of right now, Russell is still on the books. I see this as, you know, Bob Meyer picking up an asset in lieu of losing an asset. Whether or not we keep him full term or whether he becomes a part of another deal for us to get someone else at this point, honestly, it could go in either direction. If he does end up making it to the actual roster for 2019-2020, he's a guard who can score. As you alluded to before, this guy who is good, talented, you know, young, he's 6'5". Our starting lineup is not big at all in the scenario with him. Now, obviously, next year is going to be, by all conventional standards, a down year for us. Nobody realistically expects much, but
I mean,
if we do end up retaining them, you know, we'll be, obviously we'll make the playoffs, but a conference finals and the finals push with Klay coming back at maybe 75-80% is a bit lofty. I think most would agree.
I mean, I when the trade initially happened, I mean, it made me scratch my head because he doesn't fit. He's not. Yes, he's a scorer, but he's not a jump shooter. He's not a 3-point guy. He's primarily pick and roll, which is not what the Warriors do. I immediately kind of, again, it made me scratch my head. But then hearing the Mark Stein report saying that, it's not a matter of if he's going to be traded, it's just a matter of when. I kind of, I thought it was a very good, a good deal by the Warriors to get something, even if it is a piece that's going to be moved before the season even starts. You're kind of letting free agency settle. And also the second part of this, they fucked up the Lakers' backup plan. If Kawhi decides, hey, I'm going to stay in Toronto, that means Russell isn't like he goes where the Warriors tell him to go. There's no trade clause in that. If he's not going to Minnesota, he's not going to LA. If he may go to Minnesota, because I don't think Golden State kind of realistically views them as a threat. Whereas he can, he stopped them. He stopped Russell from going to the Lakers. And to me, this very much feels like when Durant signed with them, in that, hey, we don't need you to win a championship. We just need you to not be there.
Right.
And that's, I don't know how well Russell would have gone. I think he pick and roll with LeBron and AD. That would have been kind of
interesting. Yeah.
But I think this is a very savvy move by them to not only get something in return, but to take control of a lot of teams' backup plans. He could end up, I guess, depending on what Kawhi does. If Kawhi ends up with the Lakers, they're fucked. They'll still be able to get something, but it didn't work out the way they wanted it to. Now, if Kawhi re-signs with Toronto or signs with the Clippers, then they're still free to move him. They won't obviously trade him to the Lakers. There's a lot of big names that are on the block right now. Another name that I think would be a very good pickup for them, but probably wouldn't fit together. If they could probably get a third team involved, it would be very interesting. Steven Adams in Oklahoma City. I think him in Golden State would be a very good move. Adams and Green at the 5 and the 4, and then obviously Curry and Clay when he comes back. I think Curry, Adams, and Green are absolutely a playoff team, probably a top four seed.
I could see that.
But it would just be a matter of, because there's going to have to be a third team involved, because Oklahoma City is not, if they're trading Adams to shed contracts, they're not taking on D'Angelo Russell, another point guard to put beside Russell Westbrook. And so, I mean, they would have to work out another team. Maybe, no, they wouldn't. It wouldn't be Houston either. So, I feel like a lot of the lower tier teams in the East are potential suitors in these 3- and 4-way trades in terms of just getting whatever piece they can. It would not surprise me if D'Angelo Russell never wore a Golden State jersey.
I mean, it's
like like they don't even have an introductory press conference. Like they don't even waste the seamstress's time sewing his name on the back of a jersey. Like, you know what? Don't even we'll pay for your hotel while you're here, but don't unpack your shit. Yeah. Like, he has got to be sick of moving West Coast, East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, like they're gonna hit him up like, hey, here's one of those prepaid cards. This is gonna pay for your meals for 2 weeks. Just chill out.
I'll tell you what Golden State does. They say, hey, New York, we heard y'all had a shitty free agency. We got a guy you might like. How about you give us the next 10 years of first round draft picks? D'Angelo Russell and RJ Barrett.
Hey, I mean, the Knicks aren't having any issues selling tickets, but Russell's is a name, man. He's someone to put on the marquee.
And he's proven in Brooklyn.
Yeah. So it works. obviously it's our first podcast since the loss. I'm still in, I won't say mourning and be morbid, but I'm still in recovery mode mentally, emotionally from being punched in the face in the finals, physically falling apart in the finals.
I've actually got a quick question for you in regards to I guess a press release that came out today. Was it Myers, whoever's the front office, the GM, coming out today stating that as long as he's a part of the Golden State Warriors, that no other player will wear the number 35.
Right.
He wore it for like 3 seasons. He was a mercenary, dude. You're gonna retire his number for 3 seasons?
I mean, that the sentiment, and see that
is Chicago retiring Dennis Rodman's or
probably not. But then again, that Chicago, well, at least back in that period, that Chicago ownership back in the day, they were notorious for being cheap and disconnected.
Jerry's were fucking assholes.
Yeah.
They're the reason they don't have 8 championships instead of fucking 6.
Yeah. Wow. That could be a whole other tangent. Shout out to Aaron. But yeah, man, I mean, I think Myers, just from and not necessarily that he needs to or is under any obligation in terms of public perception, but I think he definitely wants to lend his actions to the narrative of this transition being as amicable as possible. Now, obviously, Kevin Durant, he's going to have his certain feelings about some of these social dynamics while he was here, as well as, you know, the way things kind of came to a bit of an abrupt end. But at the same time, it's like, you know, this man helped us almost get 3 in a row.
I mean, I was going to say, could it possibly be more, not necessarily that, hey, we're retiring this number, but him kind of setting the, not to say that Oakland has shitty fans or the Warriors have shitty fans. Every fan base has got small pockets of just assholes.
Absolutely.
And is this maybe his way of saying, like, kind of setting the tone with the departure of the way Dan Gilbert set the tone when Cleveland left the first time, and he writes that shitty full page ad in the Cleveland ad, and then next thing you know, Cleveland fans are burning fucking jerseys. And whereas this is like, hey, we're old Kevin in high regard. He came to us. He helped us win championships.
That letter that Gilbert penned to LeBron was so poor and so negative in its connotation. Obviously, yeah, you're mad, you're emotional. I think anybody can understand that point. But the specific tone and word choice and delivery of that letter, that fool had Jesse Jackson on his ass calling him out for racial undertones in that shit. That's how serious it got.
I mean,
so yeah, for a Bob Myers to, you know, go completely in the opposite direction and take, you know, not to be cliche, but to take the high road, I know plenty of guys who probably wouldn't behoove him for it.
I mean, I guess, yeah, part of the difference was that, yeah, KD was able to get a couple rings there, and LeBron, the first time he left, didn't. But to me, like I said, the thing with Dan Brown at the time was, how bad did he fuck up the free? I mean, did they sign any big name free agents when LeBron was gone?
Absolutely hell no.
So, I mean,
no. It was still Cleveland.
The free agents are seeing like, holy fuck, this is how you treat a hometown guy who gave everything he had for 8 years. And I mean, Durant was, I mean, we can be honest, Durant was he was a mercenary. He was brought in at the highest bidder to do one thing. It wasn't, I don't think any of us ever thought, okay, then Durant's going to retire a Warrior. I don't think anyone ever really truly thought he was going to retire in the Bay Area, and it was just going to be, he was going to just be a Bay Area legend. He was going to be Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. Yeah, no, I don't think anybody ever thought that. No. And he did what he came to do. He won 2 rings, and he gave his Achilles tendon trying to get the 3rd one. So I mean, I don't see, even without that, I don't see how any fan base could kind of have hard feelings towards a guy that did that for their team. So I mean, I do kind of, thinking about it now, I think that was, I don't know, it was more, hey, we're retiring his number, as it was, I'm setting the tone for how our fans are going to react to this, and we need to take the high road, because other teams are going to, other players, when they become free agents, Draymond's deal is up after next year. They're going to trade Russell at some point, probably to get either expiring contracts or to just get another guy, another star. And so they have to still be able to attract free agents once these guys are gone, and doing petty shit like taking out a full-page ad. We gave you everything, you bitch. And so,
yeah.
I mean, yeah. So there are certain ways. And then sorry, Zach, bringing it back to Dolan. And then, of course, today with the Dolan's, we weren't sure about KD's Achilles tendon. Really? Because every other fucking team in the league was sure of it. And they were like, we don't give a fuck. Brooklyn was like, dude, we will pay for you. Like, just chill. Just chill. We'll rent you an apartment. We'll get we'll hire somebody to come in and massage the back of your fucking foot every day. Take your time, relax. And they were, we're not sure. We're not sure.
KD is going to be getting fed grapes by Puerto Rican chicks for the next 12 months.
I mean, like
no.
They're gonna hire what's the dude that used to work for P. Diddy, Farnsworth Bentley or some shit?
Yeah,
he's unemployed. He's gonna be holding I'll go get your mail, Mr. Durant. I'll hold your umbrella, Mr. Durant. I could be your Uber, Mr. Durant. Like he's gonna be like it's like Durant is gonna be living it up in Brooklyn. At least until he plays ball, because, I mean, Achilles injury is a tough one to come back from. But, I mean, I hope he does well. Brooklyn, it's going to be very fun to see another team kind of emerge. I mean, this offseason has completely shaken up everything.
It's one of these.
And it's still not done.
It's still not over. Now, this next one, ladies and gents, kind of slid under the radar today. It wasn't one of those ones that's going to just send your phone blowing the hell up. But for our longtime listeners and followers, particularly those who, kind of tune in to the show when it is primarily Roy and I, this is a topic we've been on for like a solid 2 years now. Seth Curry has been acquired by the Mavericks. So now you have a situation where the Mavericks going into next year, they have Luka. They're going to have a healthy Kristaps Porzingis. And now you get Seth Curry, who obviously, despite not having anywhere near the notoriety of his brother, is still a real piece and a real player, and he can shoot his ass off. He ain't Steph, but he's closer than people realize. Yep. And I say all that to say this. As I've said, for a time, myself, Roy, several others in the group, and then others, that we interact with throughout our various Sports Wars social media, Dallas's struggles to sign free agents have baffled all of us literally this entire time that we've been doing this production. It's right in the middle of the country. The weather is not super harsh in the wintertime. It's great in the summer. Modern city, modern amenities, no state tax, fine women everywhere. That part I might be looking into myself sooner or later. And apparently there's a Four Seasons right across the street from the arena that has like these condo type residencies. Do you really think they're going to turn down a Mavericks player and be like, hey, let me rent this thing for the next 6 months? Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Dallas is finally becoming like, oh shit, that's a pretty damn good spot to, set up shop. I think they're a playoff team next year.
I mean, I like they did, like I said, we mentioned Seth Curry signing. They quietly re-signed Porzingis to a max deal with 5 years. So he's in it for long term. Luka is probably top 5 player under 24, 25, easily, maybe.
Yeah.
Porzingis isn't. He's not ancient. He's still what, mid-20s? Got to be at least.
He's like 26 or something like that.
I mean, let's see.
Maybe 27 at the most.
I'm gonna look that up right now. He can't be.
I want to say he was.
Shit, bro. He's even younger than that. He's 23.
Wow. Shit.
Yeah. Porzingis is. He's 23 years old. He won't be 24 until. Well, he'll be 24 in a month.
So going into next year, he'll be a ripe 24. Yeah, that's nothing.
24. He's 24, and he's a power forward. You got Luka, who is probably a 3. But Porzingis is probably a 4, maybe a 5. I mean, let's see. Luka is fuck, dude. Luka just turned 20.
Oh shit, he's still wet behind the ears.
Yeah, Luka just turned 20. I mean, they've got they've got what's his name's Giannis's little brother. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what are the big pieces. So we know Porzingis, 95. Dude, Luka is goddamn, dude. That just made me feel old as shit. Luka was born in 99. So they've got a dude on their team that is Dallas is probably one of the few teams in the league that has a guy on their team that's older than I am. And then they've got a dude young enough to be my kid. So that's fucking great. Devin Harris is still in the league. Devin Harris is old enough. He's been in the league so long that he was once traded for Jason Kidd. So there you go.
I just had the craziest flashback of the Nets.
Yes.
In Kidd. But yeah, man. Well, shit. Not only Dallas, kind of getting themselves on the map in terms of being a legitimate location, but that pretty much qualifies as a youth movement too, kind of like you had mentioned about Atlanta. So yeah, I think that brings me to a question I wanted to throw at you. Durant going east, I think somewhere in the room, Adam Silver and some of his guys were kind of like, finally, a little bit of balance in terms of the major talent leveling out more east. And for me, it begs the question, like, okay, but yeah, Durant goes east, but LeBron came west prior year. The Warriors are still there. Lillard's up in Portland.
Not going anywhere.
Yeah. Denver got way good relatively fast. Is the discrepancy of talent between the East and the West, in terms of the East having maybe 3 championship finals level teams, another handful of playoff teams that probably won't make it that far, whereas the West is like just, especially now with the Dubs, kind of in dire straits health-wise, West is just wide open.
And the last
is it a discrepancy of, you think, GMs and management? Like, what do you think is at the root of it?
I mean, because East Coast for a while there, East Coast was super strong. I mean, the 80s and into the early 90s, it was a lot of Boston, it was a lot of Detroit, it was a lot of Chicago, and then it went back out west. But when it went back out west, it stayed in 2 cities. It was Los Angeles and San Antonio. I think there was they were actually talking to Silver a couple weeks back about some of the ideas being thrown around to kind of mix things up. One of them that I wasn't a real big fan of was the mid-season tournament. And then they kind of just a mid-season playoff just for shits and giggles. Another one was shortening the season. Not a fan of that one either. The idea that needs to happen that I feel like is the easiest to do, and it's something they've already started in the All-Star games. Get rid of East and West. don't do 1 to 8 in the West, 1 to 8 in the East. Do 1 to 16.
Period.
Period. Regardless of where it was. Now I realize that maybe complicates some things when it comes to playoff matchups, because you may get a first round matchup of Los Angeles versus Lakers versus the Miami Heat, and it's coast to coast travel.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I'd say keep the structure of the conferences in the regular season just for logistics. But once we get into the postseason, all bets are off, and the league is just going to have to eat the costs, because we all know they're making billions upon billions.
But I mean, I even think that the cost of just using Lakers and Miami just as that's probably not even the two furthest apart teams. Imagine how fucking box office it would be for LA Lakers, New York Knicks playoff series. Not even finals.
Yeah.
Playoff series. Brooklyn versus Golden State in the second round of the playoffs. I mean, it's and then you guarantee getting the 16 best teams. I mean, I heard I forget which sports radio host it was, but he mentioned Dallas. Again, we're just talking about Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas legit could probably be a 6 or a 7 seed in the East. They're not going to make the playoffs in the West.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and because you're talking about, look at the teams that are going to be that we know are going to be solid because they haven't lost any pieces. Some have even gotten better. We know LA is going to be back in it. We know the Lakers. We know that
Denver.
We know obviously Golden State. I don't think there's any danger of Golden State missing the playoffs. Houston, Portland. These all teams that we know are going to be very, very solid. Here, let me see if I can.
Yeah.
So we got Denver, OKC, Portland. I think Utah got better. Then you got Golden State, Lakers.
Yeah, Utah was another one that kind of slid under the radar and picked up some pieces.
That Conley acquisition is going to be nice.
Yes.
And then you got in the Pacific Division, we know Warriors and Lakers. Maybe the Kings could show their ass a little bit. But then you've got in the Southwest, you got Houston, the Pelicans, who I think may be a surprise playoff team, and then the Spurs. I mean, that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's without getting to Minnesota might be solid. Dallas is going to be improved because KP will be back. We don't know what Phoenix is going to do. They signed Rubio. I really like that fucking signing by them. So,
yeah, it would it could easily be a situation of 10 or 11 of those 16 spots as it stands now. But I mean, hell, power shifts every so often. In another 6-7 years, it could be 12 teams from the East.
Yeah,
out of a 16.
So I don't. That seems to be. Honestly, you know what? I would like to hear our subscribers' theories on this. Why has the West kind of started to take over? And it's not just drafting. You can't really necessarily say, oh, they're drafting better, because the free agents are moving out west. LeBron was drafted in the East. Butler was drafted in the East. Well, Butler's still in the East now, but he was traded west to Minnesota. Russell was out west. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. A lot of people don't realize Kawhi Leonard was drafted by the Pacers. He was traded to the Spurs.
Yeah.
And then he was traded again to Toronto. I would love to hear the theories. Like, give us your conspiracy theories. Is it David Stern's fucking fault, like a frozen envelope? Like, why does it seem like the West is more attractive? And it's not just, you can't pin it all on California, because I mean, California is, from what I've read, amazing. But teams are, it's not just the California teams that are signing. I mean, ask the Clippers. They haven't signed shit. The Pelicans are signing players. The Rockets, I mean, there's Phoenix. I mean, shit, even Phoenix. It is hot as balls in Phoenix right now. And they're signing guys left and right.
The whole damn state is an oven.
And guys are turning down the Knicks. What makes any of those teams outside of California more appealing than New York City? More appealing than Philadelphia, Atlanta? I mean, Atlanta's the capital of the fucking South, man. I mean, Atlanta's another one of those where we could probably have a conversation that's similar to Dallas. I mean, Atlanta's big free agent signing in the last 5 years was Dwight Howard, and he lasted a season.
Yes, and we are absolutely not going to get into recent news around him. But yeah, folks, obviously, all the feedback that we have in the comments, which we do appreciate. This one in particular, leave a comment down below. Let us know why you think that paradigm, at least right now, between the East and the West exists. Lastly, to kind of round things out here, just a little bit of speculation. As of right now, right this second, on Monday evening, Kawhi has yet to sign. It seems like Kawhi is kind of just kicking back, watching everything take place, mulling over his options, and probably waiting for the dust to settle, and then he's going to quietly go somewhere. Now, to speak on your inquiry from a few minutes ago, Roy, in terms of juxtaposing Southern California with Toronto. So, geographically, and to a degree culturally, even though it is Canada, Toronto is more or less like a combination between a New York and a Detroit or a Chicago, because it's situated right between, obviously it's to the north, but it's basically situated between the Midwest and the East Coast. So in terms of its characteristics, being a big, modern urban city, urban sprawl, that location, pretty decent summers, but pretty cold winters, all of that. So imagine all those characteristics. You take a little bit of Detroit, a little bit of Chicago, and a big chunk of New York, and you stir it up. Boom, that's Toronto. Southern California is a completely different ball game than any of that shit. Now, I'm not here to say that one type or the other is better. Obviously, I'm from Northern California. I vacation in LA all the time. I went to New York for the first time last year. I thought it was absolutely amazing. But Kawhi Leonard is from LA. Greg Popovich got on the plane and flew to San Diego to meet up with him. They were probably somewhere at some restaurant down there having French toast or barbecue or whatever the hell the case. And you can see in the picture, Greg Popovich is just sitting like this, because he knows Kawhi is not feeling whatever shit he was trying to sell. This dude has wanted to get home for who knows how long before things fell apart in San Antonio, that he actually was like, damn, I really want to be back home. Finds himself in Toronto and wins them their first championship, thus giving himself the ultimate moral mental pass to just dip. If he leaves, no one throughout, forget just Toronto, no one in Canada, period, none of the 13 provinces, even way up, all the way up damn near Alaska, no one can say shit.
Nope.
I got y'all a ring.
And they'll send him some fucking maple syrup and some stuffed animal mousse, and like, you have a great day, Mr. Kawhi.
Yeah. When Drake drops a new record, he's getting a copy 2 weeks before the rest of us.
Kawhi's gonna get a shout out in the liner notes. Like, that's how old I am, is I remember reading liner notes. So there you go.
So yeah, man. It's gonna be LA. I don't feel like either of us are going out on a limb by saying it's gonna be LA. It's just a matter of where. Is it gonna be the Clippers, or is it going to be the Lakers?
Yeah. I think in closing, to sum up the mayor of Oakland's there's no place like home. That's it. There's no place like home. And I'm sure there'll be nothing but fond memories of Kawhi's time in Toronto. He's going to love it. They're going to love him. They may retire his fucking number.
Yeah.
But I think Kawhi would probably come at them and just tell them, like, look, I enjoyed my time here. There's no place like home. And they will not wish a bit of ill towards him, mainly because they're fucking Canadians, and Canadians are mostly just nice people.
Yeah.
I actually, if we're gonna close out on that, I did want another question to pose to our subscribers. Seeing how Toronto kind of rallied around that team and just showed just crazy amounts of love to them. Does Canada deserve another team?
Wow, that is very interesting. Because the Grizzlies were in Vancouver.
Yes. And were extremely poorly run and decided to make them a Western Conference team in fucking Memphis, which is very much East. Who? If you're Canadian, if you are pro NBA Canada, what city? I realize there's only a handful that could probably support it, although OKC would probably show that even smaller markets can support it because they love their fucking team in Oklahoma.
I mean,
you've only got a handful of options. You got Vancouver again, which right management could be done. And we've seen that you can get a team back in a city and call it by the original fucking name, because that's what the Hornets did.
Yeah. There's Montreal also.
There's Montreal. There's Quebec. Although Quebec, I always think of fucking hockey. It always makes me think of hockey.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a very viable question. I'm going to be curious to see what people have to say. I think instances like this, and then things that take place within the NHL, it reminds people that major cities in Canada are right on par with major cities in America or Europe or whatever. Like I was giving the schematics of Toronto. If you took Toronto and dropped it 50 miles south, it would become the third biggest city in America.
I mean, and they showed that they're absolutely a great fucking sports city.
Absolutely.
In that finals, I was shocked. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've always my own American closed-minded about sports. Always Canada's fucking hockey. They don't give a shit about basketball. That's why they ran off the Grizzlies. And then now you see what they've kind of become. Every time they showed a video of Jurassic Park, I was just like, holy shit, these guys are nuts.
Yeah.
And when the team, it goes, it's for anything. If a team is good, fans are going to show up. If the team's bad, they're not going to show up.
It brings people together. And it's really just that simple. So yeah, folks, we're going to be interested to see what you have to say on those two inquiries. Why is the West so dominant in the NBA, and what city in Canada deserves an NBA team outside of Toronto? Any shout outs as we close out?
I would actually, I'm not going to pile on to the Knicks. I'm not going to pile on to James Dolan. I did say that I did like what some of the signings that they didn't go ape shit. Didn't go ape shit on dumb shit. I can't really think of anything shitty right now. I don't see anybody that's. I wish the Clippers. To me, you can't. To me, making fun of the Clippers is like making fun of the Browns. Like you can't. Like it's.
Yeah.
You can't, in good conscience, talk shit about them because they've been so bad for so long. What's the purpose? It's like pistol whipping a blind kid. So
that's just bad. That's just bad.
I mean, even if you win the fight, you beat up a blind kid. If you lose it, you lost to a blind kid. So there's nothing. I guess my shitty shout out would be if the Lakers, who have been conspicuously quiet throughout this, if they do not land Kawhi, I don't say they're fucked because they still have a shit ton of cap, but a lot of the big names are gone.
Yeah, so, it's going to have to be a lot of pretty strong role players and complementary pieces.
And they have no assets to trade.
Yeah, my my shout out is a two-piece. First one's really going to do it for you. My first shout out is to the Benson family for finally focusing on something other than the non-call. Because this Pelicans team, now they're really box office. I know that conference-wise they're in the West, but geographically they're closer to the East. So for them to have an interesting roster and interesting pieces closer to the East lends itself to the balance that we were talking about. My second part, shout out to whoever the hell it is, Pelinka, Genie, Magic in his spare time, Bron and Rich Paul, the whole conglomerate of people who are running the Los Angeles Lakers who did not go out and acquire Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah. Although, part of the rules say that if they sign a guy, they have to wait till what, like January 1st or December something to trade him?
Yes.
And there's only 3 fucking guys on the roster, so that they can't trade anybody. So let's give them their congratulations, but let's stick a pin in this bitch till the trade deadline.
If they go out and get him, fuck the Raiders. Hard Knocks needs to go to the LA locker room to see Chris Paul and Rondo face to face.
I
remember when the 2 fucking helmets on Monday Night Football years ago?
I was honestly kind of hoping that Jimmy Butler was going to get traded to Houston just because Jimmy Butler versus Harden versus Paul would have been so fucking entertaining to watch. But now Jimmy Butler's in Miami. Miami's trying to make a move to also get Bradley Beal, so keep an eye on that. That's coming.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure one of us is going to drop a video when Kawhi finally signs. I've heard conflicting reports that one says he's meeting with Clippers sometime this week. I heard one report saying he was at LA today. So we could have something.
Yeah.
You leave it up to Kawhi to wait till all the free agency dust settles before he's like, okay, now I'm going to sign.
Yeah, as he's eating his apples and being a fun guy and continuing to give me nightmares.
He's probably somewhere mowing his lawn in some fucking jean shorts and jean shorts and New Balances, and his neighbors have no fucking clue who he is. They just think he's the tall guy that lives next door.
Yeah. What a tapestry this off season has been and is turning into.
And it's just getting started.
It's just getting started. But yeah, ladies and gents, we thank you again for your ongoing support, for joining us tonight. Like, comment, subscribe. Keep it locked, because whatever goes down, you're going to be seeing one of our beautiful faces to let you know. And yeah, we're going to catch you all later. Peace out.
Peace out. Fuck Tom Brady, as always.